Welcome to NFL Nexus. Today, we are diving headfirst into the absolute chaos that was the Indianapolis Colts 2026 offseason. Seriously, this is a wild story about high-stakes gambles, some serious quarterback drama, and a bizarre chain reaction that could really define this franchise for years to come. Hey, if you're into this kind of deep dive NFL analysis, do me a huge favor. Make sure you're subscribed and go ahead and hit that like button. It really helps the channel out and you won't miss any of our future explainers. And one last thing before we jump in. If you want a great way to support the channel, check out our coloring books. They're perfect for kids, grandkids, even for adults. The link is right down in the description. All right, let's get into it.
So, this is the big question we're tackling today, isn't it? The Colts made a massive, and I mean massive, expensive move to finally stabilize their quarterback position. But in doing so, did they accidentally create a critical, season-altering weakness on the other side of the ball? We're going to explore how a series of calculated risks and, frankly, some truly terrible luck has left this franchise in a really tough spot.
Okay, here's how we're going to break it all down today. First, we'll set the stage, talk about the immense pressure on the front office. Then, we dive right into the quarterback saga, the dramatic fall of Anthony Richardson, and right after, the rise of Daniel Jones. From there, we'll pivot to the defense to unravel this whole Kwity Paye situation and the unbelievable domino effect it caused. And then we'll wrap it all up, assess the damage, and ask, what does this all mean for the Colts' future?
So, let's be crystal clear about the stakes here. This is not just another offseason for the Indianapolis Colts. Nope, this is what you'd call a moment of truth for general manager Chris Ballard and head coach Shane Steichen. From what our sources are saying, their jobs could very well be on the line this year. Every single decision, every signing, every dollar they spend is being put under a microscope. Because it's not just going to determine the team's direction for the next 5 years, it could determine their own futures too.
And you absolutely can't talk about the Colts being at a crossroads without starting with the guy who is supposed to be the answer to all their problems, Anthony Richardson. I mean, just a few short years ago, he was hailed as the franchise savior, this athletic freak who was going to lead them for a decade. And now, the team is actively trying to trade him. Let's really dig into how it all went so wrong, so incredibly fast.
Man, when you look at this timeline, it is just staggering how fast this whole situation unraveled. Let's walk through it. April 2023. There's so much hope, right? The Colts draft this physical marvel out of Florida, a guy with an absolute cannon for an arm, elite speed, just limitless potential. But he was a gamble, super raw, only 13 starts in college. And the problems, they started almost right away. In October 2023, just 4 games in, his rookie season is over. A serious AC joint sprain in his throwing shoulder. And look, that wasn't just lost playing time. That was lost evaluation time for a player who desperately needed the reps. Then, the 2024 season, it gets defined by controversy, specifically that infamous tap-out incident against the Texans. If you don't remember, on a huge third down, Richardson scrambled and slid, but instead of fighting for the first down, he kind of tapped the ground with his hand, taking himself out of the play way short of the marker. That created immediate friction inside the building, raising serious questions about his toughness and his fire. By August of 2025, after a pretty shaky training camp, the writing was on the wall. He officially loses the starting job to Daniel Jones. And the final nail in the coffin comes in March 2026, when Richardson formally requests a trade. From a top 5 pick to the trade block in less than 3 years, I mean, that is a stunning fall from grace.
And this number right here, this is the immediate financial reality of that timeline. The Colts have a decision to make on his 5th-year option this month, and that price tag makes it an almost certain no. You see, the 5th-year option lets teams extend a first-rounder's rookie deal for 1 more year, but it's fully guaranteed and it's expensive. So paying $23 million, completely guaranteed, for a guy who is, at best, your backup quarterback, that's just not smart roster management. This number is basically forcing the Colts to make a decision.
This really just shines a spotlight on their bigger problem. So the next logical step is to trade him and get some value back, right? Well, that's proving to be almost impossible. Like ESPN's Adam Schefter is reporting, the market is soft. The only offers they're even getting, according to our sources, are what you'd call pick swaps. So basically teams offering to trade late-round picks of equal value. That tells you everything you need to know. Richardson's trade value around the league is pretty much 0. The Colts are stuck with a former top 4 pick who they can't trade, and they certainly don't want to commit to long-term.
But you know, as the door was slamming shut on the Anthony Richardson era, another one was creaking open. With Richardson struggling, the Colts didn't just sit around and wait. Nope, they pivoted, and they did it decisively. They found a new plan and a new leader under center in Daniel Jones.
And these numbers right here, they show you exactly why the organization felt so good about making that pivot. Just look at the comparison. In his 15 career starts,
Richardson just struggled big time as a passer. That 50.6% completion rate, I mean, that is a massive red flag in today's NFL. And throwing more interceptions than touchdowns, that is a guaranteed recipe for losing football games. Yeah, his athleticism was there. He ran for over 600 yards and 10 touchdowns, but his crippling inconsistency through the air was the killer. Now look at Daniel Jones in 2025. In just 10 starts before his own season-ending injury, he was efficient, he was effective, throwing for more yards, nearly double the touchdowns, and way fewer turnovers. And here's the stat that matters most. He was 8-2 as a starter. The guy was winning games.
So the Colts saw that performance, and man, they put their money where their mouth is. They handed Daniel Jones a huge 2-year, $88 million contract. And this wasn't just about his on-field production. Sources say he got glowing leadership reviews from inside the locker room all the way up to team ownership. He had locked down his role as the guy. So in just one offseason, the Colts went from the complete uncertainty of Richardson to a massive financial commitment to Jones as their undisputed starter. Problem solved, right? Well, with the offense seemingly secured, the Colts turned their attention and their checkbook to the defense. And that is where things got really, really messy.
Okay, so with the quarterback situation seemingly under control, the Colts turn their full attention to the defense. And this is where our story takes a wild, completely unforeseen turn. They made a calculated risk, right? A strategic gamble that was designed to make their pass rush better. But through a truly bizarre series of events that were totally out of their control, that gamble backfired in the most spectacular way possible, creating a brand new, massive problem.
It all started right here. The Colts let Kwity Paye, their starting defensive end and a former first-round pick, just walk in free agency. Now, this is a guy who started 74 games for them, racked up over 30 sacks in his career. He was a solid, dependable, homegrown starter. But the Colts let him go because they thought they had a bigger fish on the line, a clear all-pro level upgrade they were targeting.
And this is where you really need to follow the bouncing ball, because this sequence of events is almost hard to believe. Let's break down exactly how the Colts' whole plan just blew up. Step 1. The plan was simple. On paper, it was a good plan. Let your solid but not elite defensive end, Kwity Paye, walk, and then use that money to sign one of the best pass rushers in the league, Trey Hendrickson. Okay, sounds good. Step 2. A completely separate domino starts to wobble somewhere else in the league. The Baltimore Ravens try to pull off a blockbuster trade for Las Vegas Raiders superstar Max Crosby. Step 3. This is where it all goes wrong for Indy. The Crosby to Baltimore trade collapses at the very last second because of medical concerns that popped up during the physical. Step 4, now the Raiders, who were just moments away from trading their best player, suddenly need a pass rusher. So what do? They pivot and immediately sign the best one available on the market, Kwity Paye. Just like that, the Colts' safety net, their backup plan, is gone. And then step 5, the final crushing blow. The Ravens, who just missed out on Crosby, now pivot to the free agent market themselves. And who do they sign? The top guy available, Trey Hendrickson. The Colts' primary target is gone. A failed trade between two completely different teams completely blew up Indianapolis's entire offseason strategy, and it left them standing there with nothing.
So now what? Well, now the Colts are left to pick up the pieces from that chaotic game of musical chairs. And when you take a long, hard look at their defensive end room as it stands today, you see a glaring, massive, and newly created hole on their roster.
You know, looking back at Kwity Paye's production, you can almost understand why the Colts might have felt okay moving on at first. He wasn't a world beater, not a superstar. His sack numbers did drop from 8 in 2024 down to just 4 in 2025. But that 2024 number, that led the team. He was still a solid starter who, as our sources note, was also consistently great against the run. He gave you a baseline of production that, in hindsight, looks a whole lot better than what they're left with now. His reliable presence is definitely being missed.
And this is what their pass rush looks like now, and it is deeply, deeply concerning. You've got Laiatu Latu, a talented young player, who is now being asked to carry the entire pass rush on his back, but our sources are saying he desperately needs veteran support. So who's going to give it to him? Arden Key is described as a capable rotational edge, but someone you absolutely cannot rely on to start 17 games. Then there's Mikael Clemens, and this stat from our source is just mind-blowing. He has more career penalties, 10, than he has career sacks, 8.5. I mean, that is just not the kind of production you want from a key rotational guy. And finally, you have a rookie in JT Tuimoloau, a fifth-round pick, who is a total unknown at the NFL level.
This blunt assessment from our sources really just hammers the point home. It perfectly captures how serious this problem is. You've got one promising young player in Latu, and then a supporting cast that is just not good enough to consistently pressure opposing quarterbacks. In today's pass-happy NFL, if you can't threaten the offensive line, your defense is going to get picked apart week in and week out. It's that simple.
So what can they do now?
Well, turning back to free agency, that offers very little hope. This is a list of the top names still available, and yeah, these are household names, but let's be real, they are all former stars who are widely considered to be way past their prime. These aren't guys you sign and expect to get you 10 sacks. At this point in their careers, they might not even win a starting job on most teams. This is not a viable way to fix such a critical roster hole.
Okay, so if free agency is a dead end, what about a trade? There was a little bit of buzz that the Colts might try to make a move for Jonathan Greenard from the Minnesota Vikings, but that door seems to have been slammed shut pretty firmly. Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell came out and gave this very clear quote, basically ending any speculation right then and there. The Colts are running out of options, and they're running out of them fast.
And all of this brings us to the final, sobering conclusion. When you put all of these pieces together, the QB drama, the huge financial deals, the completely botched defensive plan, you have to ask, what is the ultimate consequence for the Indianapolis Colts? Where does this leave them now?
And this lays out the dilemma in the starkest terms possible. They've committed $88 million to a veteran quarterback. They are stuck holding the bag on a former top 5 pick who has basically no trade value. Their pass rush has been completely gutted, leaving a gaping hole on their defense. And the final, brutal kicker to all of this? They have no first-round draft pick to try and fix any of it. They don't have that premium draft capital you need to bring in a day-one impact player. It is truly a perfect storm of problems.
And so that's the question we leave you with. In their desperate and very expensive quest to solve their franchise quarterback problem, have the Indianapolis Colts just accidentally created an equally damaging, franchise-altering problem with their pass rush? Did they plug one massive hole in the boat, only to rip an even bigger one open somewhere else? I want to know what you think. Let us know down in the comments below. And hey, don't forget to like this explainer and subscribe to NFL Nexus for more deep dives all season long. And if you'd like to support the channel, please check out our coloring books. They're fun for all ages, and you can find them using the link in the description or by just scanning the QR code on your screen now. Thanks so much for watching.